The projected scoring leaders for next season is out, and for some reason, PJ Haggerty's not on it.
You are Locked On Kansas State, your daily podcast on the Kansas State Wildcats, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Yes, welcome on into Locked On Kansas State, your daily Kansas State Wildcats podcast. I'm your host, Christian Rao, and thank you so much for making Locked On Kansas State your first listen every single day. Welcome back, my everydayers. This is a bonus episode for today as we dive into a little bit of men's basketball on today's episode. The projected scoring leaders for next season are out, and for some reason, PJ Haggerty's not on the list, and we definitely have to dive into that. And Coach Matt Driscoll is just giving me the warm and fuzzies, and I just want to give him his flowers on today's episode. But before we do so, today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Football season is around the corner, folks, so visit the FanDuel app today and start planning your future bets now. I don't have to tell you that the football season's around the corner because we are just over a week away for Kansas State, Iowa State in Dublin. But this bonus episode is going to be about basketball. Projected scoring leaders for next season are out, as I mentioned, and PJ Haggerty not on the list. And it's the same guy who finished third in the entire country last year at Memphis before transferring to Jerome Tang and the rest of the coaching staff and to the Kansas State Wildcats in Manhattan. And this report that comes out doesn't have, a single Kansas State Wildcat on it, but the one you'd think would be on that list, PJ Haggerty, is nowhere to be found. Now, this came out on Twitter X. This was a graphic that you can see from the College Basketball Report at CBK Report. But the data is via Torvik data. So it's the Torvik ratings, the Torvik data, whatever the case may be. And it is the 2025 to 2026 college basketball projected points per game leaders. Now, there's 22 players on this, and they range from 21.6 points per game to 16.8 points per game. And we don't see him anywhere on there. Now, for the record, the number one player on this list is a Big 12 player, and that's JT Toppin out of Texas Tech. And they predict him to average 21.6 points per game. That should be the leading scorer in college basketball this season. Let's remind you, and if you don't know the actual pinpoint data here, PJ Haggerty averaged 21.7 points per game last season at Memphis. That would be enough to not only make this list, but be number one on the list for the next season at Kansas State. Now, whether they think that PJ Haggerty is just not going to be a good enough player at Kansas State, or maybe the roster is too good, or maybe the roster is better offensively compared to what he had at Memphis, so he's going to have to share the rock more, I'm not really quite sure. But either way, it is a travesty. It is egregious that he is not even remotely on this list whatsoever. We see a couple other Big 12 players on this list, some freshmen as well. Darren Peterson from KU is on this list. He's projected to average 17.9. AJ Dispenza from BYU, 18.4. Richie Saunders from BYU. They got two BYU Cougars on there, 16.9 for him. There's definitely some good Big 12 basketball that we're going to get this season. But you can't tell me that PJ Haggerty, one of the best returning players in college basketball, if not the best returning player in college basketball this coming season, easily number one in the transfer portal rankings. When you see different rankings, maybe not Kansas State as a top transfer ranking class, but the top player, they usually say it's PJ Haggerty. And you're trying to tell me he's not going to finish in the top 20 in scoring this year? I just can't see it. I can't see it whatsoever. This is a huge snub. Again, it's Torvik rankings if you want to check it out. But one of the most unstoppable scorers in college basketball, and now he's in Manhattan, ready to run the Big 12, and I think that they're going to do great in the Big 12 this year as long as they start hot in that non-conference that we talked about a few episodes ago, which I think is a very manageable non-conference schedule, a perfect time for them to get a good culture fit, to get the beat right, to get everything they need to be, to where we're not waiting for Jerome Tang to give us these unfortunate buzzwords at press conferences. We're going to talk about how great performances were. PJ Haggerty's going to lead that charge, folks, and he's going to be in the top 22 in scoring. Dare I say the top 5, top 10, we can just say, to be completely safe. But the fact that he's not on this list is absolutely egregious to me. You're not just leaving out a decent score. You're ignoring the third highest scorer in the nation from last season. And yes, Memphis is at a lower level than what Kansas State is when it comes to power conferences, as you will. But Memphis made the tournament last season. Memphis was an at-large bid. So take that for what you will. The talent at Memphis last year was very good. Efficient shooting. I mean, you can pull the stats out you want, your field goal shooting, your three-point shooting, free throw shooting, whatever the case may be. PJ Haggerty's got it. So, and it proved it. He was the AAC Player of the Year, All-American honors last year. And for some reason, the data for Torvik is like, yeah, we don't think PJ Haggerty is going to be anywhere at the top of the country this year because Jerome Tang? I don't know. I just don't see it. He had 42 points in the AAC tournament last year. And you don't just bat an eye after a 40-point performance. You don't just forget about a guy because he transfers from Memphis, a school that, let's remember, the Big 12 didn't want, to Manhattan, who is dying, itching to get back to the NCAA tournament. Focused on offense. I just can't see it. He's moving into a system that is going to take the ball out of his hands. I'll see that a little bit because there is an opportunity that he may not average 21 points a game, but he's going to average at least 16, 17, enough to be on this list. And I just can't see the reason he's not on there. Now, I did put something out on Twitter X as soon as I saw this, and you can check it out at Locked On K-State. And shout out to one of our followers on Twitter X, PowerCat Ryan. He says, this just means that we will have 5 guys averaging 15 points per game. And if that's the case, I'll take it. If we are averaging 5 guys with 15 points a game, right? Not the burger joint, 5 guys though, 15 points per game. That one means that we're averaging more than 70 points per game, something that we struggled with mightily last year. That means the offensive additions in the portal, the offensive coaching additions like Matt Driscoll are all working. I mean, you do the math, 15 times 5. That alone is better than 70. Then you're at the rest of your bench. If that's the case, I'll take it. And I mean, if that means that PJ Haggerty's not the leading scorer in the country and he maybe regresses back, and I'm doing this in quotations for you listening on audio, then I'm okay with it. Because that means that Kansas State has a better chance at making it back to the dance. That means we don't have this reliability factor that we felt like we had last year when it came to Coleman Hawkins. Although I do think that's where it's going to be initially this season. It's going to be all eyes on PJ Haggerty, and rightfully so. But if you can tell me that Bashir, Johnson, some of those players are going to average 15 points a game as well, count me in. I got no problem with that whatsoever. But he still deserved his flowers. After finishing 3rd in the country last year in scoring, he still deserved his flowers. And that was absolutely insane that he's not on this list whatsoever. Jerome Tang's offensive styles may not be the best, right? But that's why they brought in some offensive masterminds and bringing this energy to Manhattan. And speaking of people bringing energy to Manhattan, it's not just PJ Haggerty turning heads over on the basketball side. Coach Matt Driscoll, has been lighting up practice with his one-liners, teaching moments. Absolutely love it. And it's giving me this great feeling about next season. One that makes me want to talk about the men's basketball team when we are only less than 10 days away from the college football season. That's how crazy that is. Let's continue to talk about this conversation on the other side, right here on Locked On Kansas State. Hey, August 26th, officially FanDuel's Future Day, a brand new holiday for football fans who live for bold predictions and preseason hunches. August 26th, if you're thinking about putting a parlay in for division winner, dark horses, for some reason, the Kansas City Chiefs are seen as a dark horse for the AFC West. Go figure. I have no idea, but they're thinking that the reign is over. I don't think that's going to be, it sounds like an easy addition to a parlay. Who's going to be a back-to-back MVP? Potentially Josh Allen. Could he do it again? I don't know. That's just really a crazy aspect to put into it, but it's a perfect time for bold predictions. August 26th can do that. Visit FanDuel app and start today. Start your planning for your future bets now, because Futures Day is only one day and one day only. FanDuel, play your game. This bonus episode of Locked On Kansas State is also sponsored by Wayfair. As summer winds down, there's something nice about getting back into a routine you love, and Wayfair makes it easy to set yourself up for the season ahead. From beddings, linens, storage solutions to every room, Wayfair is a one-stop shop to refresh your home. So get organized, refresh, and back to routine way less. Head to wayfair.com. Shop to get everything you need for your home. Like I've mentioned on this show, I am just moving into a new place. I got a beautiful sectional from Wayfair. It is a great addition to my home. So check it out as well. That's WAYFAIR.com. Wayfair, every style, every home. Talking Kansas State men's basketball in the middle of August is always fun, right? And I think that's the best feeling. You want to be light about it. And that's exactly what we're getting on the social media feeds from the Kansas State men's basketball Twitter account, social media accounts. If you're watching on Facebook, whatever the case, Instagram, whatever the case may be. I saw it on Twitter X, and it's all about Coach Matt Driscoll. He's been lighting up practice with some one-liners, teaching moments. And it just shows that he's got this new high energy, this kind of personality that just is contagious. It made me want to run through a brick wall and potentially go to war with him with only a toothbrush and a flashlight, because there was just so much energy coming from Coach Matt Driscoll. And you can tell that that's going to translate to better performance on the court. It just that's what they're looking for, right? They're looking for that culture, that buy-in. And if you're already seeing that type of, dare I say, love between the team and all that great energy in August, that is exactly what they need to make sure that they don't have that awful, dreadful fall in non-conference like they did last season. Let's talk why that presence has me more excited than ever for K-State hoops. And I said that out loud, more excited than ever. In August? What? Are you kidding me? Absolutely. Some of those posts, these one-liners that we heard from Coach Driscoll, and I'll put the Twitter X link. So you have Twitter X. I'll put the link in the show description below this one, so you can just click on it and go right to the tweet, so you can watch the video. But it's on K-State basketball, social media, everywhere, if you just want to go to that as well. But some of the few that stood out to me was like him just yelling two balls, or play with some pace, space, and embrace, or blow it off his face, or something like that. Like, they were just really funny one-liners, and he was not afraid to just like get the energy into the atmosphere. He mentioned these moments. He mixes humor and instruction, how he likes to keep players engaged. I love it. Absolutely love it. And, basketball practices, like any practices, can get repetitive. They truly can. And that energetic voice changes the vibe. It keeps things exciting. It keeps things light. And when you are trying to, become this new team, because that's exactly what Kansas State is right now. They're trying to become a new team, trying to mesh, and it's something that hasn't worked quite well over the last 2 seasons when they've gone down to the nuts and bolts and started all over again. This is exactly what you need. Coaches like Coach Driscoll, they keep that intensity high while they're trying to make it enjoyable. And this just comes from experience. And you can tell he's comfortable because he's worked with Jerome Tang in the past, but now he doesn't have to also be the guy, right? He has been the head coach at North Florida for a very long time, enough to have the records of the A-Sun, most wins in the conference. Now he gets to be the assistant coach, the offensive mastermind underneath Jerome Tang. And he did it on his own terms. He wasn't fired. He left to take this job at Kansas State. He saw an opportunity and he went after it. So you can tell that he's doing this not for, maybe potentially he is, but he's not doing it for just the money, or he's not doing it just for the fact that it's a power job. I think he's doing it because he saw a prime opportunity to be able to do something special at Kansas State with a fellow coworker that he once worked with at Baylor in Jerome Tang. He adds another voice to Jerome Tang's staff as well that gives players multiple perspectives. And I think that's going to be absolutely huge, folks, especially on that offensive side. Look, we continue to talk about it over and over again when we talk about Kansas State's roster this year. They did an offensive overhaul. And you can make this type of narrative where last year's roster might be seen as more talented, but this year's roster fits well more into the structure of what Kansas State is trying to accomplish. The fit makes more sense. It's kind of like taking a page out of the playbook of Chris Kleiman and the football staff, where they're not chasing stars, they're chasing fit. Kansas State's men's basketball team did that this season, and Coach Matt Driscoll is just one piece of that puzzle, a very, very big piece that's going to help glue it all together. He might be the glue to these pieces of the puzzle because a lot of those players have a great upside on the offensive side. Now, the defense will come, and I think that's where Jerome Tang and the rest of the coaching staff will play a major part. But the offensive side, a team that only averaged 70 points per game last year, having Matt Driscoll be able to run some of these practices with that high energy, it just gets me that much excited. His style meshes with Tang's too. He's got positivity, the motivation, accountability as well. We know Jerome Tang has all those. We see him in his pressers. We see it on the sidelines. We see it how he talks to students and athletes alike, whatever the case may be. His podcast as well, when he does those during the season, you can tell that type of energy. I think Matt Driscoll fits perfectly into that one. So why does it get me excited? Well, it's not just about the X's and O's, although I think it's going to be a major part of what he does. It sounds like he has the keys to the offense. You know, the fact that they are promoting him on the socials right away. You're not seeing him do that with any other assistant coach, right? You're trying to market him. Say, hey, look, Coach Matt Driscoll's here. We're excited he's here. We know that he can do great things. Let's see what happens. It's about building a culture. And I think promoting Matt Driscoll as this face, this lovable face that it sounds like the players love, and then giving him his flowers on social media as well, is only going to push those players to bond and mesh more, right? Like, I'm hoping that the players saw that, and I'm sure they did, and they just started, having funny jokes and bashing on Coach about it, building this camaraderie. I hope that happened. I'm sure it did. So if you're not following Kansas State's men's basketball socials, do it now. Whether it's on Twitter, X, Instagram, Facebook, whatever the case may be, check it out because there's a lot of good stuff there, and it sounds like they're going to get a little bit more hands-on this season, which is great. I love that. As long as it doesn't impact the roster, impact the performance. But if they're keeping it light, they're in the offseason right now, I'm all about it. This staff has given us the best behind-the-scenes content in the country so far from what I'm seeing, and I want that to continue to happen for the rest of the season throughout the year and all the way, hopefully, to us dancing in the field of 68. All right, everyone. Thanks for this bonus episode of Locked On Kansas State. Be sure to hit that subscribe button. If you are listening in audio, I thank you. I see it growing every single day. And I also see that 57% of you in the month of July are listening on Apple Podcasts. So if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, head on down to the bottom, rate that 5 stars, leave a review as well. What do you think about the Kansas State podcast right here at Locked On Kansas State? Bring you daily Kansas State Wildcats coverage every single day. That'll wrap it up for this episode. Please like the video, please subscribe, and we'll see you back here next time, right here on Locked On Kansas State.